How's everyone doing today? Today is March 10th, 2021. Now, we've had a lot of green. We've had quite a lot of green. This is going to make my job extremely difficult to find really good stocks for you, which is a fantastic problem to have. There's absolutely no better problem in my life than when everyone's actually cashing and making some money. I will say this, though. Many people are going to say buy the dip, and you should have bought the dip at the appropriate time, as I've been pointing out in the S&P 500 and the QQQs, when to buy a dip appropriately. But also, we're not out of this downtrend yet. We also are going to have a pullback eventually, in my opinion. So buy the dip, but also be prepared to sell the rip, right? As this goes up and it hits our downtrending lines in 3,900 in the S&P, you must be prepared to short something. I don't mean a stock all the time, but Lab D is great. SPXU is really good. SQQQ, I had to type it out. For the reverse of the NASDAQ, you must be prepared to also sell the rip. You're going to have pullbacks. Every healthy run-up has pullbacks, but you can hedge your bets very well. If this sounds confusing to you, welcome, new kids. How are you? This is a channel dedicated to beginners and intermediate traders. If you're a beginner, you have no idea how technical analysis works. If you watch the Meet Kevins and the Zip Charlies and the Rookie Gutierrez, and you watch all the TikTokers who are like, they have the same 5 stocks above their heads and it makes my blood boil. If you watch them, you're like, how does X, Y, and Z choose ticker ABC? I will show you what they see or what they should be seeing. I don't know what they do or not. But I'm going to show you what supports, resistances, trend lines, patterns, EMA lines, stochastic, vortex, RSI, everything that I see in a stock, which you should be seeing in the stock. For you, this is an educational purposes. Again, this is definitely ones that I could play. It's all educational based. What you should do is while I'm talking about these, you're going to see a 5-second screen right before the ticker comes on. Pause the video, go into TradeView, go into Thinkorswim, go into Webull, whatever you use. I want you to put supports, resistances, trend lines, and patterns, and I want you to see if you can find clear and defined ones that match what I'm looking at. When you get done, I want you to look at the indicators that you use, SMA lines, EMA lines, RSI, whatever it is, and try and come up with a theory of what the stock is doing. Listen to me talk about it, and if they match up, you're on the right track. That's a very good sign for you to backtest what we're talking about. Intermediate traders, if you're new here, what's up? If you're buying the CCIVs, if you're buying the sandals, if you're buying all the hype stocks and you're making some money, sick, dude. But you also need to diversify. If you are going to be only buying technology stocks, just buy an ETF. You're being dumb. And if you're only going to buy 2 stocks, for the love of God, have more cash on hand and more capital, more liquid. You do not want to get stuck bag holding, having both stocks that you buy be absolutely drowned and you're down 20% each and you can't sell them until they come back up because you can't afford that kind of loss. So make sure you diversify. What I'm going to show you are great strategies for risk management and some great stocks you could eventually buy if you choose. It's up to you. That you like that may have great risk versus reward. They can eventually become huge hitters. I called FCell at $2. I called Ride at $3. I called NIO at $5. We've been on this. I called Funko before it took off. Yo, shout out to Funko. I've been calling a bunch of these. And again, I'm not patting myself in the back. I literally just do what a real swing trader should be doing. With that being said, if you like this kind of content, if you like a grown man in tie-dye and pink hair screaming at his screen, having a midlife crisis, which implies I'll die by 40, that's cool, right? If you enjoy having me scream at you and have wavy arms all the time and spaghetti arms, subscribe, right? I keep it real. There's no bullshit on this channel. There's no absolute click this or my best stock's at the end, so you gotta watch the whole thing. I don't care. Come here. I have chapters down below. Click around. You click on one, it looks like shit. Go to the next one. I do not care. It's here for educational purposes. If you like this, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I appreciate it. If you really enjoy the content, if you really want to learn, if you really want to make swing trading, and partially, I guess, day trading, but mainly swing trading, part of your career, if you want to make this a good side job, one, you need capital. So if you have like $10,000, you're not going to live off of this. I'm sorry. Newsflash. It's not about dollar signs, about risk versus reward. It's all about percentages. If you can make 20, 30% returns a year, and you have $100,000, then you can live off of it. But again, if you want to have a nice side hustle, a nice way of investments to work for you, not be stressing, I can show you through my Discord. Again, I'm not going to push it. I'm not the kind of guy I'd be like, you must join to get everything. YouTube has a bunch of great stuff on it. I got you. If you want to have more content, check it out down below in the description box. You can click on it. I'm also offering a 7-day free trial. If you want to try it for a few days and see if you like it, come on through, baby. I got you. I'll put my Discord name at the end of this intro, and you can then click, type it in on Discord and add me. With that also being said, one last thing I want to mention, my 5-minute tangent. you should be watching other YouTubers or other people for information as well. I should never be the one person you come to for education for stocks. It's foolish to think that I would know everything or have the same eyes as everybody else who's also really good at this. I have a really, really great specific system that works well for me, and it works well for almost everybody who tries it, right? It's very risk managed. You have more winners than losers. Your winners are bigger than your losers. You're going to win. But there's plenty of other great people. Please go check them out as well. If you want to get my opinion on them, you're like, hey, what do you think about this guy? I'll give you my honest opinion, right? But you should definitely go read people about options tradings, wheel trading, go look at stuff about day trading. This does not work for everybody. Not everyone's going to be a swing trader, right? So please go look elsewhere. But again, I will teach you some really great stuff while you're here. With that being said, I have 6 stocks today. There's a lot less stocks because of the value of how good stuff is doing. But again, I'll take more time over these 6 stocks than I ever have before and really show you what I'm looking at, right? This is a great educational video for you. With that being said, I'm done talking. My mouth hurts. Let's get into it. So above me, we can see we have our 6 picks above me and our trusty poop list. The reason there's only 6, and again, some days I've had over like 20 when it comes like our great list of 10 and like 15 good ones. The market is surging up, and we're at a very pinnacle point, and I'm going to show you real quick, and this is a crucial thing. Now, here's the dealio. Here's the haps and the craps, my boys, for y'all who gamble. We got a very, very clear, this is the S&P 500, a very clear resistance. Okay, now if you watch the S&P and you watch these major markets, there's a bunch of tiny baby ones, right? There's a bunch of supports and resistances. That's one right there. Okay, you can then argue that there's one right about here. Oh, geez, there's one right probably about here, and this is how it's gonna go. It's gonna be a lot of baby movements up, right? But what I'm looking at is that 3,900 is stupid critical to this thing's success. This downtrend is a stupidly strong one. Okay, this is a very strong downtrend, and we are currently testing it. As we can see, we're testing it. Okay, this is a great sign. It's only 2:30, so don't watch this video tonight at 8 o'clock and be like, we're out of the woods, yeah, and then you go by tomorrow and this shit's like, see ya, and then it tanks down. So like, don't just go off what I'm saying because it's also early in the day. But it's a good look that we're above this. Now I'm expecting this to be much more of like an A, B, C. Some kind of form of like there will be a retraction. All right, you see even over here, there's been plenty of times when they go up and they pull back. Plenty of times they went up and came back. So don't get lost in the sauce, baby. This is a good look. But again, we are so green and we're also so near resistance. I'm not going to put out anything that is considered risky. I don't do that. So that's why I was doing so many picks. Even QQQ, or we call it QQQ, is also now, again, opposite. It's opposite of the S&P. It's red, and the S&P is doing good. That's going to throw a wrench in a lot of different things that I feel comfortable giving to beginners. So instead of me being like, here's 15 plays, I'm the GOAT, come follow me, I'm going to give you absolutely nothing but quality. I will never change on that. So we can even see it's a downtrending channel. And again, you could be like, well, it's actually going to be a downtrending wedge and it's broadening. Okay, shut up. It's downtrending, we know that. So if you're watching QQQ, I call this area, oh God, this is bad. I call this area right down here no man's land. You have no idea which direction it's going to go. You have no idea if it's up or down. And you saw right before this little candle boy with its legs. See how it has legs? It has no idea which way it wants to go. It said, I want to go up, I want to go down, and it stops here. And right now it has one leg. So it's definitely showing much more red. But again, when it was right here, we had no idea which way it was going to go. And right here, you have no idea if it's going to be a continuation or if this right here is becoming a new, because you can argue your support's going to be right about here, right? Yeah, that's a very good argument, right? A lot of stuff stops here. I would definitely argue at 307, 308 is much more important. So if it bounces here, sure. But again, we're still downtrending. So if you're going to ask me why I'm only putting out 6 stocks today, that's why. I don't see a lot of value. I don't see anyone. If you look at the whole list too, like this is a bunch of green on here. I mean, I'm not some, clickbaity guy. EDU is off. It's dead. It's gone. Okay, I can't call that. FLGT. I have no life yet. This is a bad trend line. We'll see. NIU, no shape right now. I mean, I guess you could be like, well, here it is, but it's also broken. So there's no real great ones. Like IRWD is already at our price target. It moonshotted, right? AQB, downtrending. So none of these really work. You can see all the green on my usual list, right? I can't call, I can't be like, oh, PGen's good today. Nope. So that's why we are where we are with only 6 picks. And I'm going to take a little bit longer each one to really break them down for that reason. With that being said, that diatribe out of the way, me ranting at my microphone, let's get into it, boys and girls of every age, but preferably over 18, so it's legal when you trade. That's also a big thing. You guys know that it's illegal to trade under the age of 18, and all these TikTok people be like, I'm a millionaire at 15. You can't legally trade. Bum, bum. So your mom's rich, but whatever. So shade. All right, so first one's AXU. I've called AXU. I'm going to call it again. And again, the only reason I'm calling it on the main list is because I have 6 of them. This is a great value. And again, AXU is a mining company. It's a resource company. And so if we look at tip ranks real quick, AXU, what's important to understand is that it does work well with gold and it has a great price target. We're going to FinViz real quick. Behind the scenes, we're going to go to the futures real quick. We can see gold is doing well. Gold is bottoming out. What's AXU doing? Bottoming out. You see this? Watch this. Shit, free falling. Bip. Let's look at this. Free falling. Bip. So there is a nice correlation between AXU and the gold. Now, is it based off it fully? Nope. But the silvers and the golds are looking pretty good. This is a mining company, and I believe. And so it's not really tied to it, but again, this is a good area to buy it into. If I remember correctly, I think it is a mining company. I got to do my own fundamentals, but you got to do your own fundamentals too. AXU is a great horizontal play. We can zoom out and we can see that it's had lower lows. So to think that this is, that 240 is its lowest possibility, it's not. It can definitely get as low as you need to get. It can really fall off the face of the earth pretty quickly. So we're not going to fall in love with it, but we can see that's a really good risk versus reward. AXU has had plenty of run-ups. We can see if it does live here. Okay, easily can make 5, 10, 15% on a full move. Right, and that's a good moonshot. It's a reasonable moonshot. And again, what are you risking? I mean, I'd definitely let it come down if I'm going to buy into it. 3%, maybe 4%. And so you're talking 3% to about 12. For a really modest move, 4 to 1, 3 to 1. It's a good pickup, right? If we can get past this first resistance, which is right here, we break above that, we're in a whole new ball game. So AXU, I like it a lot. I just need to see it kind of do something. It has a history of consolidating down here, right? It comes down, consolidate, it takes off. Comes down here, consolidates. This is like a month, right, of just straight consolidation. And we're in day 6. So we're not out of the woods with this one, right? It could be down here for a long period of time, and you can see it take off hopefully fairly soon. So it's a good area to buy into. I just think that it's, good risk versus reward, good horizontal play. I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. So what's cool about this channel is me, and besides that is that we also have our indicators turned on after I scan. I don't use indicators to scan and find it. It's all price action. And so if there's like a 200 EMA bounce, I'm not going to see it unless I turn that on sometimes. But I have not looked at the EMA lines. I have not looked at the Vortex or the Stochastic or the RSI. This is all live with you guys, which is pretty cool. So the indicators, I can look off the bat and see that it really does respect the 200 EMA line. It does respect the 50, but you'll see a lot of these bounces are in line with the 200 more than the 50. Like over here, 200. Doesn't give a shit about the 50. 200. 200, a little baby bounce there. So, and then also even over here, 200. So the 50 is above us. It will be a resistance, but am I worried about it getting above it? No, not really. So I wouldn't take that into too much consideration, but the 200 should be part of your price targeting. So if it does come up here and gets, a good move to 274 tomorrow, not saying it will, this needs to be in the back of your head that shit, the 200 EMA is right here. It's been a resistance. Do I risk it? And of course you can. You could be like, yo, when it gets above both, it's going to make dumb money. I would definitely consider at least taking half of your profits there, and then you can let the rest of it ride. That's what I would do if that was a hypothetical to happen. It does get low, like that Ludacris song. It does get lower, like Lil Jon says. So it's down where you want it to be at, and every time it's done that, it's gotten a good run. So this is really representative of the price action through the RSI, which is really cool. So it's really low. It could be a tad bit lower, but it was just super low. So that's a good sign. Stochastic, again, is curling, but you want to see it maybe a bit lower. But plenty of times, if we were to put our cursor there, plenty of times right there, if you look back, a lot of price action does stop halfway. So I'm not overly concerned, and it is kind of stagnating out. That partners well with the stochastic just going green. So red volume is dropping, green volume is coming up. We can see that from here over, it really bottomed the F out, and now it's really starting to come back. And when it goes green, it can be green for at least a good, that's what, 8 days? Ooh, I got a good eye, 6.5. Then over here was a good 13 days. So you may have a good week once that crosses and stays crossed of green. So AXU, a good value play. I'm not super in love with it, but again, just given the price action in the market, I'm not really in love with a lot of things. A few of them I am, but AXU is a good pickup. So next is CVNA Carvana. He took me to Carvana, no. All right, I'll see my way out. Good night. So Carvana is a fantastic stock. Now, it's a really good company given COVID. Like a lot of folks have been like, I hate car dealership. When I bought my car, I did not enjoy the experience because I hate talking to people in person. But on Carvana, you can buy it online. Look at this. This is a rarity. Okay, this is definitely, I hate how it does it sometimes, but it's definitely a channel. Now, you could argue this is also a wedge if you were to come over here and be like, well, actually, it's a wedge. So that also is so clean and so close. This is a rarity. You don't see this all too often, but you also don't see this too often. It's like very KPTI-ish, right? Of once, twice, 3 times, 4. So like, is this gonna last forever? No, you should not be like Carvana the next 10 years and be a bop. Hell yeah. No, it's not gonna last forever. But again, this price action is extremely beautiful. So we had earnings, and it said, hell yeah, earnings is gonna do great today, and then it said shit, and it came back down. So earnings has basically run its course, in my opinion, because it started here and it came right back down. You can even argue that's probably double bottom now. That's pretty neato. It did bounce. Now again, I remember the horrible, I think it was on Friday, right? This is 3 days ago. No, a day ago. This was happening. I was going to call it, but I was like, I got to see life first. Well, we have some life now. It ran up 13%. I should have called it. But again, they came back down and life happens. So you have options. Long-term hold-wise, Carvana makes a shit ton of sense. I'm sorry I'm swearing a lot today, but I'm hyped about this. It makes a lot of sense to hold this long-term. It's really where the car development market's going. I bet the price target's probably pretty high. And this channel is super sexual. What you need to take in consideration, though, is that down here, this was in the same year. So it's, 7 months away, 8 months. Carvana's apparently 113 times worth more. That's a very quick and very steep ascension, and so that's going to not last forever. You can try and be like, oh, see, it's not that bad, and squeeze it, but it's not going to last forever. And again, if you want to do a short-term swing, you're a little bit high. We're a little bit high, and so let's check out the EMA lines. I would love to get it in at 252, but we break above this resistance and hold and retest. You see this? Look at this. It's hard to see for beginners. Look at this. We broke the resistance. What happened? Retest. And then what happened? See ya, mother trucker. Let's come back over here. What happened over here? We broke above the resistance and retest. And it went for it. So if you want to wait for it, and it didn't over here. So that's part of it. But we can see it come up with this resistance and tap it and take off. That's a great entry point as well. So you have options. Carvana, good long-term hold. Short-term hold, I want a better value or I want confirmation. We're definitely in a no man's land kind of situation. But let's check the indicators to get the full picture. So this is good. This is muy bueno, I think, if I know how to spell or talk. It hit the 200 and it died. That gives me confidence. We may be seeing it come down a little bit lower into our value. Now, it's broken it before. Look at this. It's very similar. It broke it before, and it came down, and then it showed green. Over here, it came down and it showed green. Here it was wacky because of earnings. So am I super upset? No, let's come over here. Am I super upset about it? Nope, it came down, did it, red, took off. Fine. So it had no problem really before until now. And so you have two options here, in my opinion. You can wait for value, which is my usual go-to. You could buy now, which I don't necessarily think is a bad idea. But again, you're taking on more risk than I would usually want to take on just because your stop loss intelligently would need to be at the bottom of this green candle to start. So you bought right now. You're talking already off the bat 3.5%. That's for a bad stop loss. It's not really technically a sound one. It would definitely be below the last swing low. That's 11% away. So it's a bit risky, right? If you want to really go for it and grip it and rip it, because if this does have a lower high and comes down, you're going to get burned. So I would definitely wait for value, or I wait for it to get above both EMA lines. And I say both just because they're so close. You don't want to get into here and you like get a square and you get like right here and you're like, hell yeah, brother, we're good right here, bam. You buy it right here and then you get squeezed and it drops on you. But again, even then, the 200 can be your stop loss in some way, shape, or form. So I would wait for confirmation. And again, it confirmed on the 10, but I don't really trust that. It's confirmed. And it just needs to break above those two other email lines or let it die into value. Again, I'm taking more time on each stock because I have less to talk about. Really some good in-depth stuff here. Love it. So we can see RSI as of recently, it's been an uptrend. So all this information, all of this is relevant because it's been an uptrend. If we were to have like a downtrend over here, like derp, 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 downtrending, I would cut all of this price action off and read RSI only to the right of it. But because it's been uptrending, I find all of it valuable. We can see it does get oversold. And it was just oversold. And every single time that it does, it's right at 30. What's it do? Overbought. Overbought. Eventually, but again, this was you lost money over here. Overbought. So that's a really good sign. 4 out of 5 times you've made money. Even down here, you made some money. Now, it is curling. It is like, so if you were to buy in now for a swing, you definitely have another good, about 14, 15 points of running up, closer, maybe 20 if you want to be real bold with it. But you have some room to run up. It keeps going. Stochastic says overbought. It's coming down. So I think a pullback may be inevitable. Then again, it really did bottom out, and now green's showing some life, and it's kind of coming up. If that can cross over, you'll have a good 2 weeks of green. So Carvana, is a really good pickup. I like it a lot. I just realized I skipped over CRI, so we'll come back to that. But again, Carvana is a really good pickup nonetheless. All right, next is ITRI ITRON. And again, I do not know what ITRON does. This is a technical show. So you gotta see, it sounds pretty technological. If it is, I would avoid it until the QQQ shows some life or S&P. Check out what index it's on. This was a broadening wedge. Okay, you can say this was definitely a broadening wedge in some way, shape, or form. Certainly right here it was. Right. So it's definitely making that talk microphone size. Like right there is perfect. Boom, there it is. So it's making a broadening wedge. It did not tap. This did not come up here. So we can assume, because this did not tap, boom, right here, our new pattern is going to be forming from this big move off of earnings. So once, because it's historical, that a broadening wedge, you have to attach 3 peaks or 3 bottoms. So once, twice, 3 times, right? So all 3 of these right there tap. Now that this is hit and this did not make it all the way up and this did not make it all the way up, this is now going to be a new pattern. So it's not a channel up, in my opinion. You could definitely be like, well, actually over here, it makes a channel, but like that's, you're reaching, dog. So no pattern right now. It just had earnings. And what happens with earnings? We do not catch falling knives. And as of right now, this B word is coming down hard. Now what's good though is that we have some gaps. Now historically, you see how this gap almost got filled? Almost perfectly. Okay, that gap got filled. Let's look back. This gap, look at this. This shit took off, and what did it do? It came right the F word back down to fill that gap perfectly, then it took back off. Look at over here. It gapped down, and what happened? WikiWik said, I'll fill that up for you, baby. And it came down. It gapped again. What happened? I'll fill that for you, baby. And then it came back down. So what am I getting at? Ooh, we have some peaks up here. Now, this is extremely far away, so I'm not going to say, like, tomorrow it's going to fill. Yeah, I'm just saying that in general. Because, again, look over here. This gap never got filled. So and this one did. So I'm not saying it's 100%, but I'm saying as a elevating factor over a long period of time, yeah, you can see these gaps getting filled. Now, it's 21% away. I'm not going to claim you're going to see a 21% swing next, but that should be run into consideration. Super nice trend line. No, let's not talk about that. Super nice trend line and a weak support area, right? Once, twice, maybe 3 times. But again, I would argue that 85 is much more relevant. It's still downtrending. Let's give it a day or two. See where it's going to go. But if we see that the S&P, let's check real quick. If the S&P 500 or the QQQ, whichever one it's on, can break above it, that's a really good sign. If this can hold above here, I would be a little bit more intrigued to see if ITRI can live here, because this is a really good value nonetheless. We can see your stop loss can be probably right about here. All right, 3.5%. If you do what I like to do in this market, I like to put half my investment down originally. This is a good area to buy into. This is a good value. I'll put half of my currency, half my capital. I'm willing to bet on this now. So if I'm going to put $1,000 total, which should be, I'm about, if I have a $30,000 account per se, $1,000 right now. Okay, I'll put $500 in. If this tanks tomorrow, I lost $500 of 30,000. That would be like what? I'm stretching. I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to do that math. But a small percentage, and that tanks. That's a small percentage of a small percentage. It drops down here. It drops down like drops down here. Oh God, I lost 6%. Okay, well that's gonna be like what? $30. You're gonna be okay, right? So I put half my investment in now, and then you have two options. This shit comes back down to 85. You put the rest in. All right, boom, good support area. Average down. Now I'm at 87.50. That's a good average down right there. Well, let's say it takes off tomorrow. Boom, it breaks that resistance. I put the other $500 in, right? I put the other $500 in right when it breaks above this, and now we average into about 82.50, and then you're up about 2.5%, looking pretty. So that'll be my strategy with this one for sure. With that being said, let's check the indicators. I know, again, a lot of tangents today, but I have less stocks and more details what we're going to do. And I'm 20 minutes in with half them done. If you don't like this kind of content, you click, so I don't know why you're upset. So we can see that the 200 just broke. That should be brought into consideration going forward. It respects it. It respects it. You can see how over here, nice bounce. Right now, the question then is this actually bouncing off the 50 or the 200? Because it seems to line up very well with both. Right, see that? Look at this. This is definitely respect to the 50. That's respect to the 200. So it respects both of them. Now, I would argue it probably respects the 50 more as of late. But if you wanted to wait for it to cross back above the 200, that's fine. But now you're giving up 7% of possible reward just because you want some form of confirmation. Then the 50 is going to be right there. So I think it's a viable option. If you do that, you must use this resistance and this 200 as your stop loss. But again, you look at the broader picture of things. Last time I was oversold, you would have made money eventually. Okay, we made 8% of a little bump here, but not very telling. It's a downtrend. We can then see on this uptrend. Last time I got oversold, you made a killing. Right over here would have made a killing. Over here would have made a killing. So this is a good sign. And again, it's been down here for a minute, and it does that. It's been down here for a hot second. So I'm not too worried about that. Stochastic is stupid low. That's a great sign. It's curling north. You see that? North. You want to see that? Vortex is stupid low, and again, curling some form of north, or at least breaking even right now. So, do I think this is going to be a good long-term investment? For sure. Is it a good swing? For sure. Do I want to see some life? Hell yeah. Okay, earnings has been brutal. This is a huge earnings sell-off. Now, its earnings sell-off is basically right to where it was before, and I think it's going to recapture that. Those gaps make me excited. But again, there's some times where gaps lead to a very strong resistance, and they won't get back above that area. See how strong this support was in this gap? This gap is hella strong right there. So take into consideration, but ITRI is a great pickup. Next is MRSN. Speaking of MSN, my dad still has an MSN account. He actually emails off of his name at MSN.com. The fact that this man still has that is insane. Shout out to my dad. What's up? So he's not going to watch this. So we can see a very clear support area. Let's zoom out. There's a problem with beginners who think that just because on the chart they choose it can't get any lower. False. So we can see this is a very strong support even over here. Okay, it may not be perfectly lined up to this price action, but you can see a support right about here, right? You would even see perfect. You can see right here. Big old support area over here. And even over here lines up almost perfectly. Would you look at that? So that's definitely telling you how history is a big deal and how technical analysis works. So, we're right at the bottom of this. So am I superly duper convinced it's going to live? Nope. I am convinced, though, that it's a very good likelihood to succeed and a very good risk versus reward ratio. If this does break everything, 5%. So again, 5% to me is a big loss. I know for some of you, 5% losses is like your day job. And if you were doing YouTube, you could be like, hey, here's how to lose 5% really quickly. I'm sure some of us could do that. And that's why you're here, right? So 5% is too much for me. So what I'm going to do, put half my money down now if I like it. If I see some green tomorrow, I'm going to be like, all right, MRSN's pretty good. I want to bet $1,000 at most. 500 bones, down now $18. Boom. That shit hits the fan, goes down to 17. I can buy the other $500 or cut, and then I'm good to go. If it takes off tomorrow and gets above the POC, the last $500, I'm ready to ride it all the way out, right? You want to mitigate risk as much as possible. Scaling up is a great way of doing that. Side note, we're not buying the dip. If some idiot says you're buying the dip, you can only buy a dip on a stock you've already owned for a long time. Like if you own Apple in 2019 or 18 and it runs up and drops, you can buy the dip. Yeah, because you already own it. You can't just, if you buy the dip the second you buy it, it means you fucked up your entry. You're not buying the dip. You're just bad at what you're doing. Pardon my French. So that being said, super clear support area. Looking really good. You need to take in consideration, though, that these are definitely lower highs right now. And again, is that a horrible sign? It's just showing you that, again, there is a chance that you may have to mitigate your rewards. And so if this does take some time, then takes off, you're not going to see this. Okay, you could, but I think you're going to want to see 21 and be okay. CRK is a great example of that. CRK over a long period of time, we had to mitigate our risk, our reward, but boop, 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 and then it took off, right? CGen's the same exact way. Right, we saw plenty of rewards, boop, 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 but eventually it broke down. So those are my two fair examples for this. So again, you could see 23, 24, 25, you certainly can. But given the lower highs, I would venture to say you want to aim for probably $21, right, for a good move. Let's check the indicators. Off the bat, does it respect the EMA lines? It certainly does. It respects the 50 quite a lot. And again, they're like trampolines, okay? There's no such thing as lines, and there are lines, duh. And birds are not really live chemtrails, right? There's no such thing as birds. No, there are definitely lines, but again, I want you to think in zones. I want you to think of like trampolines or tunnels, right? It would be ridiculous to think that a stock's just going to bounce all the time off the 50 perfectly. But you can see that over here, it bounced off it. This is definitely a bounce, right? Like a trampoline, bump, bump, right? Bouncing off it. Then again, it gets below it, bouncing off it, bouncing off it, bouncing off it. Right? So, bounce, bounce. So it respects these, and that's what I mean when I say that. So the 50 is mightily close. Would I give that a second look? I certainly would. So I'm a bit concerned that if you were to buy in now, you're going to hit this and die. But again, you're going to go up 8% and die. You can then put a trailing stop loss of 2%, knowing that, make 6% in like a few days. That's lit. So if you want to wait for a cross back over, that's not a terrible idea. Right? If you can get above the 50, and then, of course, you hit the 200, you may, you'll be forced to consolidate, and it chose to die. But if you can get above both of them, boom, big move. Get above both of them, boom, big move. Above both, boom. That's why I use the 50 and the 200. You could definitely use the 20 EMA or like the 45, or if you're some Fibonacci nerd and you want to use 81 and you like tool a lot, sick joke. You could definitely use the Fibonacci, right? But otherwise, I like the 50 and the 200. The RSI looks good. It was dummy low, but it's still pointed south. It's still pointed south. So I want to see it kind of turn up a little bit. I want to see it kind of go north. That's also coupled with the stochastic being close to overbought, and now it's curling south. So again, I think we may see a small pullback. That's why I'm not going to pull the trigger right now. Even at a good deal, I want to get down as low as possible. If I can see $16.80, $17, yeah, it's a whole different conversation. And again, the vortex is trying to go green. Once we go green, then we may see a nice slow, nice move up, right? That's what you kind of want to see is when the green crosses. See how when the green crosses right here? Look at that. This whole time period was a really nice run up. When the green crossed here, right there, it was a nice little baby run up. So again, that's a good sign of strength overall. So MRSN, a really good pickup. I would just give it some time to show you its direction. It just had earnings. We're not quite sure where it's going yet. Okay, big earnings sell off, a bit still going down. So don't get trigger happy, but don't get scared either. Put half your money down, a quarter down, a third down, do installments of $300, $300, $400, or do half and half, or just do the whole thing. Have an entry strategy, have an exit strategy. It's a good stock, but I'd give it a few days to see what's going to do. So next is MTCH, arguably my favorite one of the day besides Corvana, and SC is also very pretty, as you can see. MTCH is gorgeous. The best part about it is that this is not too overdone. It's only gone up about 67% in 228 days. That's about 0.3% a day. Quick maths, that's wrong. 0.4% a day. Looks pretty good. It's really doing its thing. And here's the best part. Let's duplicate our support area. What's it look like? That's definitely channel-esque. And again, you would argue and be like, well, actually, it's different. Sure, it very well could be a broadening top. Okay, you can be like, that's a broadening top. It technically is. You can use your fingers and see that it's not perfectly level. That's okay. So am I expecting this bad boy to go up to 180? I'm really not. Do I want it to go to 180? Hell yeah. Would I be concerned if it didn't? Hell no. Because I'm not trying to get that. If I can get up to maybe even 160 and get my 10%, get in, get out, bing, bang, boom, that's a great sign for me right there. And we're showing some life. Okay, it has, let's look at the reversals. Let's look at the reversals. Bowl-shaped. Slow dagger. Bowl-shaped. Bowl-shape. Daggery. Cup and maybe a handle here. So again, it's a mixed bag. You got to decide if you want to really go for it. This is a really good value. What's the worst case Ontario? It all breaks. You lose 5%. And again, that's pushing it for me. That's pushing it for me in this kind of market. I do not mess with my capital. But there's a fine line between being very overly conservative and then being over conservative. So, or under conservative. Liberal? Yeah. So it's being over conservative and being too liberal. What I would definitely do, and again with this, scale up, baby. Okay? Just scale it in. Put $500 when you feel comfortable. All right, it dips down here, then drops to 4%. That's only 1.8, 1.7% of what you would have put in, and so you're doing okay. You can then put the rest of it in down here. It takes off, you're good. If it drops farther, you mitigate your risk. So take that into consideration for sure. You can also see it's definitely was downtrending. It still technically is, but it's definitely not holding that pattern nearly as well. A good thing you can do is take the bottoms here. See how those line up almost perfectly? Redraws the channel, and that's what you're going to use. So it's definitely downtrending, but again, is it retesting that? Broke it, retest? That's interesting. So again, take that into consideration as well. Really good area support. You can also see the support area right there. If I drop my mouse right there, look at that. In the Novembers and the Decembers, right? Pop, pop, pop. It's also holding up very well here, and also it lines up very well with this one. So a good look a lot. I like it. I like it a lot. I just want to see what it's going to do first for a little bit. Let's check the indicators. So it just broke the 200. Am I overly concerned? I'm really not. It breaks it all the time. And that again gives you options, and that's what you want to have. You need to have in your little tool belt. You know, pull your hammer, your screwdriver, your beer, whatever you want to have in your tool belt, baby. You have options. You have two right now, in my opinion. You can either wait for value. That's my personal preference because I like to be so conservative in my setups that I can then be overly aggressive in my approaches and my entries because I've been so conservative waiting for the best price. That's my opinion. I could also be wrong and be an idiot, but that's okay. If I can get down to 143, your boy's going to throw the mortgage at it. No, I'm kidding. But it'll be really good down here, right? You wait for value, that's good. If you want to wait for some form of confirmation of a reversal, that's totally fine, but look what's right here. 200 and the 50. This is going to be a very, very tough task. It even tried it before and died. It tried it before and died. And so you want to wait for it to get above and actually hold a full candle above it. You can. And that's going to be your signal to really go long because once it gets above it, you know, you got great movement here. Fake out, right? But in value, what happened? It got above it. In value, what did it do? Get above it, right? Bounce, bounce, bounce. Over here, what did it do? You got above it and you would have made 5%. But again, while we're at value, it seems we have a much better success rate waiting for a crossover. RSI is fair. It's fair, but it was just oversold, so it kind of makes sense in this huge push up that would be considered fair. Wait for it to kind of point north. It is kind of curling a little bit, but we want to see what it's going to do. It says overbought, so again, I think you may see a pullback into value. And again, we just crossed green on this huge move, and it's fighting to stay above it. So again, you want to see red volume kind of dash down and green kind of hold. So again, Vortex kind of looks a little wonky on this one. It looks really good though for run-ups. So if we can hold this green and we can see it kind of come down maybe one more day and then turn around, MTCH will be a complete snack. So I like it a lot. Good pickup. And lastly is SE. Now, this is definitely closer to a broadening wedge. And again, a lot of these are going to be like such a huge run-up on the S&P and all these stocks do really well. So you can duplicate your support lines. Come over and see, all right, you know, it could be a channel. It could be a channel. This does semi-invalidate that because once you break above that resistance, it kind of resets it. My saying's always been when a major resistance or support is broken, you must reset your trend lines. And so if you're watching this over here and you broke above this, erase it, right? Or at least make it less important. So we're making it from scratch now. This is a really good support area, right? Now, I could argue, and you could argue that the support's actually down here. That's valid. It's a very valid point to be made, that this is actually a much stronger support. What the fudge? Sorry. I got triggered. So you can definitely see that this is definitely a better support area horizontally, and this could be a very strong horizontal play developing here. But we could also see that this is also no laughing matter, right? This is a very strong support area as well. So I'm going to play off of this one. This is a great value for a trend line. Now, again, is it semi-unvalidated? It is, just because it broke down so far and this has been broken up above. But Lo and behold, what's the worst case? Oh God, 1.6%. Jesus Christ, you're gonna lose. Oh my God, 3%. So you're not risking anything. And what's the best part? And this does take off. The first resistance is 6% away. You're playing a 2-to-1 just to see one swing one way. Then if you see a full nice move, this would definitely be your first move right here. Be 10%. So again, the risk versus reward is so evident. And what's the best part about the way we do this with convergence, everybody? Say it with me. His pink hair. No, what we see is that if it does dip, it breaks. Guess what? It's gonna probably hit $200. And what are you gonna do with $200? You're gonna buy it again intelligently. And guess what? 2% is made in that small move. Boom. You're there. So again, you could definitely cover your losses when you play these and you learn how they look and chart them right the first time. Gosh diggity daffodil. So SC is a great pickup. Let's check the indicators. I'm getting faint from talking so much. So this does change it. Okay, this does change it with the 200 being above it. You can see how much it respects it with all my spaghetti on the screen. You know, all the knees weak mom's spaghetti. It does bounce off it religiously. This is very similar to surf and PSTI or PSNL. My baby. It bounced off the 200 like a complete clockwork, and now that's been broken. So this could be thrown on the same pile. It's still below the 200, and it just tested it, and it died. So am I going to put a lot of weight in these lines? Hell yeah, I am. There's sometimes I don't for horizontal plays. This is a play where the 200 and the 50 EMA line must be considered for you taking your reward or for you buying in. You have two options. I'm going to say it again. You can wait for a value, which is right here, or 200. It's up to you in your charting. Or wait for it to cross over these two lines. If you can get above the 200, you're about 10 times better shape long term than you are right here. So you have to decide, because this is an earnings play. Earnings is beating the shit out of it. It showed some life. That's good. You must decide on your edge and your entry. Do you want to wait for value like me or wait for a crossover like some other people out there? It's up to you. Make the decision before you enter and write it down somewhere and be smart about your plays. I'm sick of y'all not having a plan. So RSI is fair, and it's coming down. Wait for it to show some life. Curl north or consolidate. What's this? You know, we can also see that the stochastic is coming down. It was overbought. It was a huge move. It was a huge move. It went up almost 16%. That makes sense. That's going to kind of pull back. You know, we have some folks who are bulls are taking their profits. Some folks who are bears are seeing this and they're starting to short it. Let it come back down. Just let it come back down. And our vortex just went red. They'll be down here for a few days. So we have a few days to think about it, but SC, C Limited, is a really good technical setup. Make sure to do your research, but I like it a lot. And there you have it. We only had 6 stocks, so I felt the need to really go in depth on them. I hope you guys appreciate that and really took the time to watch this. If you're still here to 30 minutes, I appreciate your guys' viewership. If you need anything else, please let me know. Again, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We're over 4,000 people in less than 3 months, so that's a really, well, it's actually at 3 months now, a really good sign. Folks really enjoy the content. I really enjoy having it and making it, so thank you so much. If you enjoy this content enough, please check out the Discord. There's absolutely no pressure. I am giving free trials out, and if you want to try it for a week and you like it, you want to join, sick. If you don't like it and you think I'm stupid and you hate my comments, also probably valid for some people because I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Most people like me. You know, I think, but otherwise it's okay. So you want that, just let me know. I will be capping it around 300 people, I think. That's going to be my goal. Cap it there, and I can open up some new servers and such. So if you want to get on it, you got about 30 more people until it's going to be gone. And it's a great community. So again, I like quality more than quantity, hence the 6 picks today, really in depth. If you need anything else, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for our last video of the week. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.